Lang nerds, welcome to eLang Explained. This video is a part of our core curriculum series where we break down some of the key concepts and pieces of meta-language from Units 1 to 4 English language. So get excited for today's episode where we're going to be learning about syntax and talking specifically about the sentence types and their communicative functions. There are 4 sentence types, and you can remember these using the super fun and upbeat mnemonic DIE. D-I-I-E. We have declaratives, interrogatives, imperatives, and exclamatives. Now, it's really important to remember that sentence types are different from sentence structures. Sentence types refer to sentences that are declarative, interrogative, imperative, or exclamative, but sentence structures, of course, refer to fragment sentences, simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, or compound complex sentences. Now, it's really easy to get these two pieces of meta-language confused because sentence types and sentence structures kind of sound the same, look similar, especially if you are rushing to complete a short answer paper. But it's really important to remember that the sentence types are declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamative. Let's talk a little bit more about what each of these means now. So, declarative sentences state a fact or opinion. An example of a declarative is a sentence like, "This is a video about the different sentence types." It's clearly stating a fact here, and that fact is what this video is about. We've also got declaratives that state opinions like, "I hope that you find this resource useful." And so here, this is the opinion of eLang Explained. We're making these resources in the hope that they'll help support you on your English language journey. Whereas declaratives, interrogatives pose a question for the audience to answer or for them to think about. And if we weren't in English language, we might call these rhetorical questions. But we are in VCE English language. Rhetorical questions are not a part of VCAA's meta-language list for us. So if we're talking about questions that have an implied answer or they're asking the audience to take a moment and carefully consider them, we still need to be labeling these as interrogative. So some examples of an interrogative might be something like, "Can you recall the 4 sentence types?" And here, this interrogative is asking that clear question for the audience to see if they can recall information from the previous slide. We've also got the interrogative, "Take a moment and consider. How well do you remember the communicative function of each sentence type?" Now, this interrogative is more one of those things for the audience to think about. It's not something that is requiring a direct answer in this discourse, but it's still an interrogative sentence. Then we have imperative sentences, and imperatives tell the audience to do or not do a specific action. So we've got an interrogative like, "Stop right there." And this is telling someone to complete that action of stopping. We've also got the imperative. If you're finding these VCE English language resources useful, make sure to subscribe. Now, this imperative challenges the negative face of you, the audience, in a different way than that first example. So stop right there is very clearly challenging your negative face because it's clearly challenging your autonomy. It's asking you to do something very directly. Whereas in this second example imperative, we've got language that more maintains your negative face. Because while you're asked to do something, make sure to subscribe, the use of our first part of this sentence, "If you're finding these VCE English language resources useful," maintains your negative face by giving you an option to complete this task or not. Our last sentence type is exclamative sentences. And exclamative sentences convey a specific, often spontaneous emotion or reaction. And a really easy way to spot exclamative sentences is that they end in an exclamation mark, but not always. So don't be tricked because there will be some exclamatives you see that don't have that exclamation mark. Our sample sentences are sentences like, "VCE eLang is the best subject," and "hooray" or "woohoo," which definitely are positively connotated and convey very positive emotions. But we can also have exclamatives that convey emotions with maybe a more negative connotation. If you're walking and you stub your toe, you might use the exclamative, "Oh no," or "ow," or "that hurt." And even though those examples have a negative connotation, they're still exclamatives because they're still showing that specific emotion or reaction. We're going to have a look now at a text that you probably haven't seen before to see if we can apply this learning about our 4 sentence types. So, this text is taken from the frequently asked questions section of Australian accessory brand Bon Maxi's website. And in this section of the website, Bon Maxi are aiming to answer commonly asked customer questions about shipping, delivery, and details of their products. Take a moment, have a read of this text, and see if you can identify an example of a declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamative sentence. So, how did you go? Now, I've color-coded each of the sentences here. We're going to start with our declaratives in purple. So we've got sentences like, orders placed by 12 p.m. AEST on business days are usually dispatched the same day from our Brisbane warehouse. Clearly stating the fact that if you order before 12 p.m, the order will usually be dispatched that day from Bon Maxi's Brisbane warehouse. But we've also got declaratives like, as we ship via a third-party warehouse, we're unable to offer personalised gift wrapping or notes. Clearly explaining the reason why Bon Maxi as a company at this time don't offer a service of personalised gift wrapping or notes. Then we've got our interrogatives in green. So we've got the interrogatives, do you dispatch orders the same day? Are Bon Maxi products sustainable and ethical? How do I care for my leather items? And do you offer gift wrapping or handwritten cards? And these interrogatives, you'll notice, are bolded, and they're very carefully used in this text to reflect the conventions of a frequently asked questions page. So not only are they allowing Bon Maxi to reflect those expectations of the text type, but they're also allowing Bon Maxi to present to their audience of potential customers some of the questions that these customers might have about their order, about shipping, and about the products that they're buying. Next, we have our imperatives in yellow. These 3 imperatives are a little bit different. So, the first imperative, always check the current shipping times on product pages for updates, gives that really clear direction to the audience that if they're looking for the time frame about orders being dispatched, they should check the product page for updates. Our next set of imperatives is specifically about caring for leather items. And so we've got 4 really clear imperative sentences that each give one clear command for the audience about how best they can protect their leather items. And our last imperative sentence is really interesting because it begins with that coordinating conjunction but, which allows this imperative to begin by telling the audience, don't worry, and then explains in the second part of this imperative why the audience shouldn't worry because their order will still arrive beautifully packaged and ready to gift. And our last sentence type here you can see in blue. Now, you might remember when we were talking about exclamative sentences that I said that not all exclamatives have an exclamation point. And here we've got a perfect example of that. Because we've got that interjection yes used twice. One is an exclamative with an exclamation point, and one is an exclamative without an exclamation point. But both of these exclamative sentences are giving that immediate reaction to the frequently asked question posed by the customers. We've got that very excited yes with the exclamation point around the interrogative in an answer to the interrogative, do you dispatch orders the same day? And then we've got a much more standard and conventional yes as a response to the interrogative, are Bon Maxi products sustainable and ethical? So if you're looking for an opportunity now to take this learning a step further, we suggest having a go at writing one body paragraph that focuses on explaining how each of these sentence types link to the different functions of language. And as a quick reviewer, when we're thinking about sentence types, when we're analysing sentence types, it's often really important for us to consider their relationship to the different functions of language. Declarative sentences will often reflect a referential function because they state a fact or opinion. Interrogative sentences will often reflect a conative function as they're asking the audience to answer or think about a question to complete that specific action. Imperative sentences also often reflect a conative function as they're telling the audience to do or not do a specific action. And exclamative sentences often reflect an emotive function because they're conveying a specific emotion or feeling. But it's important to remember that even though we know that there is this common link between sentence types and different functions, you will absolutely see declarative sentences that also reflect a metalinguistic, a poetic, or an emotive function. While we can say that declarative sentences are often referential, not every declarative sentence will have this function. And it's really important for us when we're analysing language, but specifically analysing the relationship between sentence types and function, for us always to be looking at language in context. But that's all we have time for today. Remember to be kind to yourself, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time for more Elang Explained.